the question that we have that's foremost on our mind, especially with the every instance of a right winger attacking you or saying that they're threatened or clutching their pearls because you want to save the lives of children in their classrooms. What is it like on a daily basis? This is not a normal job. I mean, you've held regular jobs in the past.
True.
What's it like to work with these people?
It's pretty crazy, but I don't know. It's kind of exciting. Also at the same time, to be a member of Congress, to have a platform where you get to engage people in conversation and dialogue about a variety of issues, where when you bring attention to an issue, people are more likely to pay attention to it. That's pretty exciting and pretty inspiring, so I'm really grateful for that. I used to be a middle school principal, man, so that job was kind of, that might have been a bit crazier than this, but, those were middle school kids, so you expect that from them.
That's where the true danger is dealing with kids.
Danger is, absolutely. And God forbid you lose a kid or a kid gets hurt or worse. That was like my worst nightmare every day working in schools. But here, what's interesting here is, you clearly see how like money and lobbyists influence my colleagues and the decisions that they make. You clearly see that every decision is based on like their campaigns and building their own individual brands and power as opposed to like serving the American people. So, they say and do some pretty interesting things that, I just feel it's important for us to push back. Now in my second term, I kind of learned that. The first term you would think, the American people are not going to pay attention to this crazy thing that these people are saying. And actually, if that's the only information out there, it's going to influence how people think. So coming into this term, my kind of personal mission was to make sure I push back every chance I get.
Was the lobbying and some of the, you're prepared when you come in, like you have an idea what it's going to be like. Was it about the same or like, oh, holy shit, this is even worse than I thought it was?
Yeah, I don't take corporate PAC money, and I never did and never will. And so
that's why you're sitting here.
So I didn't really meet with lobbyists my first term at all. The word itself was kind of icky to me. Mm-hmm. Like what's a lobbyist? Like, what is that? And it's people lobbying on behalf of corporations to do things that corporations want them to do. So I didn't really meet with lobbyists my first term. I have met with a few more this term because there are some who focus on issues that I care about, and so, whether it's, healthcare issues or racial justice issues or criminal justice reform or issues rooted in social justice. I have met with some. Plus, I want to understand Washington a bit better.
Sure.
And I don't want to close myself off to any individual or group that may be in Washington wielding power. So it's this whole thing, like any job, is a learning process. So I want to make sure I'm open to at least a conversation, even though I may not ever work with a person who happens to be a lobbyist.
Yeah, I think one thing that is unique about you that we don't see from a lot of your colleagues is your ability to express the outrage and passion that a lot of Americans are feeling about certain issues like gun violence and racism in this country. What is it that you think it is about the institution that you work in? Is it the culture? Is it the history? What is it that we're not seeing this from other people, but we're seeing it from you?
That's a very good question. And I don't know if it's just for me. If you look at the last 4 years or so, 3 or 4 years, when AOC first came in, she occupied Pelosi's office with the Sunrise Movement, when they were about to end the moratorium on rent, last year or the year before, Cori Bush occupied the steps of the Capitol, and when Rashida first came in, she told the country we need to impeach the mother effer Trump, and Ilhan has had her share of viral, right? I think that's just, when you have new voices who are working class and really rooted in what people are struggling with, I think that's just how it goes, and I think it's just my turn, I guess, and it kind of happened. It happened organically. And again, like, it's my second term. I've learned a lot. But, like, listen, kids are being shot and killed in my district. You know, every other week it seems like another teenager is shot and killed, you know. And so, you know, I've looked into the eyes of mothers who have lost sons, you know, a couple days before that. You know, that impacts you. And then, you know, I have my own trauma with gun violence, just focusing on that term for a moment. You know, I've been in fights that led to shootouts where I was right there. I have best friends who, you know, came to my house right after their brothers were killed. I had a good friend's sister and her 8-month-old baby who was killed. I mean, this is like my entire life. Mm-hmm. So it's my responsibility to communicate that to my colleagues and to the press in the way that I feel it should be communicated. You know, I'm not gonna censor myself or try to follow some aspect of decorum when 9-year-olds and 6-year-olds and babies are being killed with assault rifles.
Right.
It seems to me it would be pretty hard to follow some arcane system of decorum and my good friend across the aisle bullshit when there's literal white nationalists, avowed Christian nationalists among members of Congress. So some of these, it just seems, it's refreshing to see you, telling Republicans a lot of the same shit that I say all the time. They're cowards. If you're not tackling the issues that are leading to the deaths of dozens and dozens and dozens, piles of dead kids, then you are a coward. It's not a derision. It's not a pejorative. It's fact.
Yeah, I mean, what are we doing here? You know, 3 days after I was sworn in, there was an insurrection. There was an attack on the U.S. Capitol by white nationalists. Fast forward to this year, you know, you have a Uvalde shooting. You have, last year Uvalde, and this year the shooting at the Christian school where the 3 9-year-olds were killed and 3 60-year-old people around, and then people in their 60s were also killed. And then again, like, you know, we have an affordable housing crisis in this country. And you have people who are dying because they don't have health care, and you got all of these issues. And we come in and out with our nice suits and engage in all this, my good friend on the other side of the aisle, decorum. And the Senate doesn't do shit because of the filibuster. And even if we wanted to get rid of the filibuster, we have Democrats on that side who won't let us do it. Mm-hmm. And we have wealth inequality, and you have on and on and on. You got issues that it's our job to address. So and we're not addressing any of them.
Where's the disconnect between you witness the carnage, the death of children, the climate change catastrophes daily? I mean, daily the insurance companies won't even insure new homeowners in California, and that's going to be spreading to Texas and other places. Yeah. Where's the disconnect with, and I'm not expecting you to speak for Republicans, who the fuck wants to do that?
I can speak a little bit for them. Because Democrats do it too. That's the problem.
What's the disconnect, though, of like seeing the literal carnage and sitting on your hands? I mean, we know there's some craven political operators out there like Ted Cruz and Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert and Paul Gosar and Matt Gaetz, and the list goes on and on and on. Yeah. But they're still human beings.
I mean, the short answer is big money in politics. You know, I mean, when you talk about the powerful fossil fuel lobby, the powerful pharmaceutical lobby, the NRA, which is still powerful even though it's been weakened, when you talk about white supremacy as a mindset, an ideology, a way of life, and being part of the infrastructure of Congress and how we do our business, that's all still in play. At the same time, you have people like me and others who happen to be people of color pushing back against all of that. So we're an existential threat to a Republican Party and some corporate Democrats who have been benefiting from this status quo for so long. And now you got new members who are working class, who have tons of student debt, who have bad credit scores, who are regular people in Congress saying this is bullshit and this needs to change. I mean, if we take big money out of politics, you know, can Republicans and some corporate Dems ever win an election again just on their ideas, just on their relationship with their community? I mean, that answer is probably going to be very difficult. If we debate, what polling says and what research says and debate the issues, can they win an election? No, so they got to suppress the vote.
Yeah.
Right. Can they, if women continue to be a part, show their voices in the political process and be loud and push back, can, certain men who have benefited from the suppression of the woman voice and vote win elections as it relates to women's issues or the issues that Americans care about? No. So they, you overturn Roe v. Wade and you continue to attack women's rights and you get them pissed off to the point where they either join you or stay home. And that's what happens, not just with women, but all marginalized people, people of color and, black people, immigrants. That's what happens. We either stay home because it's too much, or we're like, they got a point, and we join them. That's what Republicans are hoping for, because they can't win on anything else.